This sport fishing tip is brought to you by Poseidon Sport Fishing Tackles and Charter, Chennai. In this session, we're going to go through about how to identify the ocean's depth. So there are different tools available in the market. One way of identifying the ocean's depth is probably using a fish finder or sonar, but you need a boat for doing that. There are other tools which are available in the market that you can use to know the depth of the ocean. So in the session today, we're just going to go through about the Navionics web app, which is completely free. So search for Navionics web app on Google and it will bring up the link. So click on this link and it will open up the page. So this is a Navionic web app where it shows all the ocean's contours. So these are all different depths. So this is 1000 meters here, this is 2000 meters, this is 500 meters. So how this app comes in handy is it actually helps you identify areas where you can actually cast the lure, which area to use a shallow diving lure, which area to use a deep diving lure, which area you can actually cast from to get into the deeper waters. In this example, probably I'll just go through probably the N4 fishing harbor. So this is the harbor entrance. It tells me that it's 6.1 meters here and 3.1 meters here. So if I want to cast shallow diving lures, I'll be probably casting it here. And if I cast a deep diving lure, probably I'll snag my lure. So I can make these kind of calls. So I can cast deep diving lures around this area, so that way I do not snag my lures. And also I can identify areas where I can actually reach the deeper waters from the land. So for instance, if I cast from here, the 6.1 meter is pretty close. So I can try and cast these areas and reach the deeper waters. Whereas if I'm casting from here, the 3.9 meter area is quite far. So I need to cross all this distance and cast in this location, which might be quite far. And I can also even use the tool here on the bottom, which tells me the distance. So I can actually calculate the distance of how far this area is. So if I want to find out the distance, so the distance between here till this end is 6.62 kilometers, and this is about 45 meters if I want to cast into the 6 meter. So I can use this tool here. So this app helps me identify the locations where I can cast lures, where I can cast the bait and things like that, and also comes in handy if I'm planning a trip to some new location where I've never been before. So let's assume that I'm going to Mangalore, and before going on a trip, what I can do is I can actually open up the Navionics web app and I can actually go through the areas, read the areas, and I can find out different spots where I can fish. And this map also shows the wrecks and other details information as well. So this shows me that there's a wreck here, which is 9.8 meters deep. So this is going to be an ideal location for me to cast poppers, spinners, and also good location for me to do some micro jigging. And all this information I can actually sit and just collect myself without asking anyone. Obviously the local knowledge will help, but in cases where you don't know any locals in the area, this comes in handy. So I can hire a boat, I can go to this wreck, try fishing around here, I can go to this wreck, do some jigging, popping. So this is going to increase my productivity of landing a fish. You can also download the mobile app of this version, and you can download the base map. So that way it actually works even when you do not have internet. So for example, if you are going into the ocean without internet connection, you can still actually see where you are actually positioned. So it will actually connect to the satellites and it will actually show you where you are. So comes in handy when you can't see the ocean. I mean, when you can't see the land from the ocean. So you can still use this app to actually navigate back to the land. It will give you the GPS location of where you are. And I think the Indian map costs about 2,400 rupees to download, and this is a good app to download. Or if you don't want to download, you can just use the Navionic web app on your mobile or laptop for free. Happy fishing, guys.